my name is Liam Haig. I'm from Vancouver, Canada, and I'm here to share with you ellipsographs. A little bit about myself. I've been climbing for 15 years. I've been setting for 3. I have a Bachelor's of Design from Emily Carr University of Art and Design, and have been practicing design for 3 years out of university. Um, I am a really passionate climber, and I love the intersection between route setting and design. I think it's a really fascinating space, and so I've been drawn to it for uh, part of my degree and then into post grad, focusing on setting and hold design. And yeah, I'm obsessed, but it is very fascinating, and so I was really excited by this chance to share with you some designs I've worked on. Um, I've made ellipsographs. Uh, the ellipsographs line is based off of the fundamental ellipse. You can see here in the center. That ellipse is the basic shape that I use for the rest of the line. An ellipsograph is the tool that you used before our 3D or our computer assisted designs to plot a perfect ellipse, a perfect mathematical ellipse. Um, and so I thought it would be a fitting name. Uh, yeah, from that basic ellipse, I created a line of many other shapes, trying to focus on keeping a continuous design language through all of them, hoping that they would work really well together. They're focused on a competition style setting, creating really directional movement that is deeply encouraged. Um, I imagine them coming in a dual texture sort of styling. This would allow, again, to encourage specific movements. Um, I also, you can see, made this little document here. My hope with it is to capture some of the ideas I maybe forget to touch on or don't get a chance to touch on in this short video. But I also just really had fun with it. I thought it was a great opportunity to do a sort of magazine style editorial of the design work I've been working on. Um, but yeah, I will jump into Rhino here, where we can get a better look at the shapes. Starting with the ellipse here, the fundamental shape, you can start to see sort of the geometry of the shapes more clearly in 3D. The basic ellipse is quite slopey. I imagine it being a foothold a lot of the times. I could also see it being a really interesting handhold on either volume or on slab. I think it would also be really great. That could be a really interesting way to use it. From there, I worked into these half cuts, is what I was calling them, where I just removed part of the ellipse. There's a slopey style and a more jug style. The sloper style, I also wanted to keep really flat. I want this to be flat because I imagined it to be really jib friendly. Even if it is just one angle, jibs placed on it just allows for so much more versatility in the shape. And so I really want to create a shape that would encourage that and allow setters to express more of their ideas on the shape. Both of these I imagine as being highly directional, again, basically unusable from the other side, especially in a dual textured version. I think it would be nearly impossible to grab. You can see it's really quite slopey, but could be really interesting as a angle that encourages movement. From there, I worked on some pinches. The pinches are sort of a similar form. You can see it's almost basically a mirrored version of the half cuts, so the double cut. Again, a slopey pinch, easy to accept jibs, but also just quite fat and sort of hopefully fun to grab on their own. And then a more juggy version that I could see being really great in steeper terrain or for easier grades. Again, also would just be a good jug. Those 5, I imagine, as sort of the core of the line. These 5 shapes. If, depending on the amount of time and the project scope, I would love to continue on with the rest of the shapes that I've designed, but I understand that can't always get to them. And so I'm excited to, if I go forward with this project, to have more opportunity to talk through what that scope looks like. But beyond those, I also designed some asymmetrical holds. So there's this pinch, which is asymmetrical across the vertical axis. And then the further one, which is asymmetrical across its horizontal and its vertical. The asymmetry is basically to create more variety in the way you grab it at different angles, so that depending on the way in which you turn it, you would get a hold that feels very different. I could also see this furthest out one having a mirrored version. I think that would be just like a really great addition to the line, and could be really interesting, and just like I think suits the shape really quite well. And I think people would get a lot of value out of that. From there, further additions I think would be really great would be these volume shapes. I do imagine these being made of wood. I think they would really excel as volumes. These sort of geometric organic big curves in volumes, I think, is kind of something new that I can see the market starting to come out with. There's a few, or I can think of one company at least in North America that's doing volumes in this style using CNC, and I think that it'd be a really great space to work into if partners are interested. And I also think these shapes would just be really fun to set with. A kind of smaller, low profile, nearly like a jib adjuster, one might call it, in this shape, but I think is really nice graphically. And then the larger sort of quite big volume, which would be definitely a big ask to be able to get done in, I think the proposal said 5 days. So I don't know if we'll quite get to this, but could be an interesting shape to look forward to in the future potentially. I could also see a lot of opportunity in the line for more shapes in between these shapes, such as, like, I think that'd be really awesome to have a shape that's sort of halfway between these two. I think that would be a really great addition to the line, and would allow for, lots more sort of stackability and create really great shapes that would, I think the graphic quality of that starts to be really interesting, and would allow for some really, really cool climbs. But in terms of stackability, I did design this largest volume to accept all these other ones, and so that you should be able to fit them into this flat surface here, just to create more versatility. Yeah, so from here, I did do a nice little render test um, of a potential climb. Um, I imagine these macros being 3 feet in their length, if that gives you an idea of scale. So this is quite a hard climb, very comp style. Something I just set quite quickly, but I was just having a bit of fun kind of playing around with the shapes and creating something that might work. I don't know if I would need to test this a little bit, I think, to really get it dialed in and working well. But yeah, just an idea of sort of the shape here. Some other design considerations I had are doing these shapes. I would love to do them out of ABS plastics. I think it would be a great candidate for vacuum forming. The shapes I do have here are all set up for draft angles, so I think they'd mold really well, quickly, and release well. Um, I also imagine these shapes being flangeless, so having the inserts where you put the screws through um, on their faces, so that they can just nestle closer compared to like a flanged that you see oftentimes in a lot of fiberglass, especially some older fiberglasses, but there's still lots of companies doing it. But yeah, but if we did go with flanges, I think it could still be great. If that's the kind of the cost direction we're going with these shapes, I think they would still work great in that version. I think everything I set here would work totally fine with flanges. Trying to think of other design considerations I had for this project. But I think that's just going to have to be it. I really appreciate everyone taking the time to watch my video here and take a look at my designs. I'm really excited by just getting this opportunity to, polish off my designs and share them with some more people. I am really excited to see everyone else's designs. I think it's going to be really cool. I hope that the Walltopia team shares with us or shares widely everyone's designs that submitted to the project. Yeah, it's a really cool opportunity, and so I want to just say thanks again for taking the time to look at the lipsographs with me. Thank you so much, and have a good one. Bye now.